Oh, welcome and thank you for joining. This is lesson 1, grade 11 functions. And this is review of prerequisite skills from grade 10, simplifying polynomials, adding and subtracting first. Remember that to add polynomials, we collect like terms, and to subtract polynomials, we add the opposites. So we're going to take a look at our first example, adding polynomials. So here we go. We have 4x squared minus 7x minus 5 plus 2x squared minus x plus 3, where we're adding these two polynomials, and more specifically, trinomials. So 1, 2, 3 terms in each. So step number 1, remove brackets. So when we are adding or subtracting, removing brackets is as simple as just ignoring, not writing the expression with brackets on it. And step number 2, collect like terms. So I'm writing the steps down on the side. You can do so too. And write them in your own words and write extra notes if you prefer to. So the like terms will have the exact same variables, so x to the same power. So both the variable and the power must be the same. So 4x squared and 2x squared are like terms. And so are 7x, negatives, 7x and negative x, so minus 7x minus x. And then last we have constants, which are negative 5 and positive 3. So we'll write that down as well. I know this is very simple for most of you, as it should be, but again, we're just reviewing the prerequisite skills to move to make sure that we're moving on strongly. So 6x squared in here. Remember that the variable part stays the same. We just work the coefficients. So then we have negative 7x and negative 1x, so negative 7 minus 1 minus 8x, and then negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2, and this is the final answer. So it is common to write the equal sign after every step to indicate that in each subsequent step, the expression is the same, so the steps are equivalent. Now next we're going to look at an example where we're subtracting polynomials. So here we have this trinomial and we're subtracting this trinomial down here. So step number 1, again, write the steps on the side, remove brackets. But remember that when we are subtracting polynomials, we're adding the opposites. Or in other words, I would say that when we remove brackets, every single term inside brackets has to change signs, which means the 6x squared will become negative 6x squared, 3xy, negative 3xy, negative 2y squared, positive 2y squared. And it is a very common mistake that I notice people make when removing brackets, and sometimes it's just a pure negligence or an overlook, and they just assign the negative sign to the first term. So be wary of this. And moving on, we're going to remove the brackets first, and then the first expression is written as is, and that is because there is no particular sign in here, plus or minus. So where there is nothing, we assume is plus. So when you remove brackets, you just leave the expression as is. And now to the exciting part in here. So minus 6x squared, and then positive 3xy minus 3xy. And the negative 2y squared will turn into a opposite, which is plus 2y squared. And next we just collect like terms. And as you can see here, we have the x squared terms that will go together. Then we have the xy terms that will go together. And lastly, we have the y squared terms that will go together. So 4x squared minus 6x squared plus 5xy minus 3xy minus 6x squared plus 2y squared. Now, if you were wondering if there is an order in how you list the terms, think of the degree. We usually like to list the terms from highest to lowest degree. But when you look at all these terms, you see that the degree of the term is 2. For 5xy, Now here you have two variables. When you have two variables, the degree will be the sum of the exponents, regardless of the fact that the variables are different. So what that means is that in this case, we have degree 2, so that's degree 2 as well. This is degree 2. I made a small little error, which I'm correcting very quickly, and 6y squared plus 2y squared. Okay, so 4 minus 6, negative 2x squared. And then 5 minus 3, positive 2xy. And then negative 6 plus 2, negative 4y squared. End of story. Now we're going to move on to multiplying polynomials. Now remember that polynomials can be made of one or more terms. So when you multiply a polynomial by a monomial, we use a distributive property to multiply each term in the polynomial by that monomial. And the next example actually is aligning with this rule. So I'm not going to read all of them, so let's start with example 3. And next we have 2x multiplying 3x minus 5. Remember that here is the multiplication sign. Well, you don't see it, but when we have 2x, 3x minus 5 means that we're multiplying here. And 2x is multiplying only 3x minus 5. So this is one multiplication. So I will highlight it for now. And then we have negative 4x multiplying x minus 7. And lastly, we have 3x multiplying x minus 1. So let's get to it. Equals, so 2x will multiply 3x and the negative 5. So that will give 6x squared and then minus 10x. So this will be just this part. And then we have negative 4x multiplying x and negative 7. So negative 4x squared. And remember, 2 minuses will make a plus 28x. And next we have 3x times negative 1. So that would be 3x squared minus 3x. So let's just highlight those. And now we're going to simplify. So when you simplify, you want to collect like terms. So again, remember, they have to have the same variable, and each variable must have the exact same power respectively. So we have 6x squared minus 4x squared plus 3x squared. So notice that we have x squared, right, in these three different terms. So 3 like terms, and then negative 10x, and then a positive 28x, and minus 3x in here. And now we are simplifying after collecting like terms, and very often, especially in higher grades, you don't really have to show these steps. This particular step, you can just jump to simplifying them because it comes more natural as you have more practice, which you do. So 6x squared plus 3x squared is minus 4x squared is equal to, so we're going to go 6 minus 4 plus 3. So that's 2 plus 3, 5, so 5x squared. And then we have negative 10 plus 28 minus 3. So negative 10 plus 28, 18. And then minus 3 is 15. So plus 15x. And that would be the final answer. Now, the steps in here would be to expand first, and that's what we did. And then you collect like terms, and then simplify last. Now, again, when you write the steps, write them in your own words. Add extra notes that help you understand or memorize better, or the things that you kind of relearn, or things that you kind of figured out on your own, or connections that you make on your own as you practice new questions. And it's not just for this simple steps, but for any problem that you solve in math or in sciences. So another very important strategy that I would suggest is that whenever you're solving a new problem, try to, after you finish the whole thing, so try to go over the strategy, because strategy builds thinking skills, okay? And it helps you really understand what you did, and it helps you retain your knowledge. So to multiply two binomials, we use a distributive property that we call FOIL. So I'm going to give just one example in here. So remember A plus B, for example. I'm being very creative here, just kidding. So we have A times A squared. So we go the first terms, right? This is the F, and then we do the outside terms, that's the O, and then we do the inside terms, that's the I, and then we do the last terms, and that's the L, and that's where FOIL comes from. Now I'm going to take a look at this. Let's see if we have an example of FOIL here. Not really. We can make up one, but for now let's take a look at example 4. So as you can see here, we have two sets of brackets. We have the square brackets, and then we have the round brackets. So we have to make note of it. So first, take a look at the entire expression to figure out what you have here in overall. Now, remember that the square brackets here, they have a coefficient 2, which means that everything that is inside the blue square brackets will be multiplied by number 2. Now, remember that also when we simplify expressions, we always start from inside out, and normally we have the round brackets first. So we have to simplify, in other words, the expression that is inside the square brackets. So I'm going to leave number 2 outside where it is. I'm going to make a set of big square brackets here, and we'll start expanding. Now, we are in a similar situation as in the previous question, so 3 times 2x, 3 times 3, so that will make 6x plus 9. And then we have negative 2x, and then negative 2 times negative 1, positive 1. We're going to bring this blue bracket here, and we'll simplify inside the blue brackets before we start expanding. And I've seen people do this very often, but this is just extra work. It actually wastes your time, especially when you are writing a test, where it becomes even more precious. Okay, so 6x minus 2x is 4x, 9 plus 1 is equal to 10. And I am going to be consistent with my colors in here. Now, obviously, you don't have to show all the steps. In this case, you don't have to show this, but I'm just writing because I'm explaining things and trying to imagine a wide range of skills that need to be reviewed. And 6x minus 4x is minus 2x equals 4, and 9 plus 1 is 10. And now that we have completely simplified, what does that mean? So we can't collect like terms. We cannot minimize the number of terms in the expression. Then we'd say that we're ready to expand number 2 in, and we're going to have 2 times 4x, which is 8x, and 2 times 10, which is equal to 20. And this would be the final answer in this case. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. Bye for now.